So the last question, how do you deal with misbehaving students? This is always challenging. I'll talk about it from the kind of the RTI perspective, response to intervention and instruction, because the RTI triangle, or however you conceptualize that mental model of how we look at all of our students. Our school expectation is that 80 to 85% of our kids, our core group, our whole group, are day in and day out behaving appropriately. If your school is seeing less than 85% of your students following the rules, being on green, if you will, daily, then that's a systemic problem, and you have to fix that system. I'd say we've got about 80 to 85% of our kids who, on a day-to-day basis, do what they're asked to do in an appropriate way. So way we support that is through positive behavior supports, the school high fives. The positive behavior supports model is pretty common. I think that most of the people in your classroom know about it. We use the positive to encourage continued good behavior, and we don't validate the negative in a way that's enforcing. So we use something like raffle tickets. We use lots of positive narration. We talk to the kids as frequently as we can, as often as we can, and as explicitly as we can about what we like about what they're doing well, what's meeting our expectations. And we try to overdo that, right? And the rule of thumb, and I think this is common knowledge, is 8 to 12 positive pieces of feedback for each negative piece of feedback you have to provide. If the school has a common vision for that, and we do in the high fives, you tend to see kids who own their own behavior. So that's the core group. Then you can move to a group that's more targeted. These are kids that, for whatever reason, are a little bit more challenged with making good decisions. It could be challenged with how they're impulsive. It could be just that they're challenged with finding boundaries for themselves. Some of those kids just are a little bit more active and are a little bit more challenged to be constrained by environments. I mean, there's lots of reasons kids start to fall off tracks. Some of it's just an individual personality. There's very few, very small percentage of kids that we would consider troubled, or the word bad is not acceptable. It's not how I want to look at them. It's that they have a level of need that exceeds the day-to-day. But a lot of kids make bad choices. And some kids make poor choices on a more frequent basis. So in dealing with those, we try to use a more restorative approach. So if positive narration and just really reinforcing high expectations isn't working, we want to really talk to kids about what was the harm done by their actions. Use a real simple one. If I push a kid on the playground, because I was frustrated because I didn't want to wait in line for the swing. What was the harm? Well, that kid fell down. He got hurt. What did I do to cause that? I pushed him down. I was frustrated. The next piece is, what will I do next time to kind of fix that? I'll be more patient. I'll tell the kid I don't want to wait anymore and see if he wants to let me go first. We work through a range of choices that kid can choose from. And the final piece, and I think this is the one that really is important, but often the one that can get skipped and then the process is not effective, is how are you going to fix it? You did something wrong. You damaged the community. You damaged the situation. How do you as the individual fix the problem? How are you going to make it better? That can be a conversation with the student you hurt. That can be kind of that idea of community service. Is I can't ever pick that. I can't make that fall not happen. But what if I rake the chips in the yard so that if anyone else falls, they don't get hurt? Can I spend some time improving my environment by cleaning up the playground, or by writing a poster about what I should do on the playground? That I'm trying to bring back to the community the level of positive to which I took away. Kids get that at a visceral level. I did something wrong, I have to fix the problem. We break something, we fix it. So if I broke the community by pushing someone down, what do I need to do to fix it? So at a target level, having that restorative approach is really useful. There's lots of ways to apply that, and I think that when kids understand that their actions have consequences, it's a good approach for them to take. The final thing, so if we have cores that kids are behaving using positive behavior, if we're targeting them, they have a little bit more different. We're using restorative approaches. The last one, that intensive level, is we do use our SIT process, and we look to do both accommodations and modifications of that student's day to help create an environment that allows them to have high access to their education while maintaining the integrity of the education for all, and then working much more intensively with building some really good internal cues developing some socio-emotional understandings that these kids may just be absent. So they actually need some, it's something between counseling, therapy, and training. And you really have to be much more intensive and specific. And that involves, your SIT process and at times your initial testing and screening process through the problem-solving team. At that level, it becomes very individualized for each kid. And I think that's where we would work with those students at that level. Is that real intense level, it's kid to kid. And I think that's about building really clear expectations, having some much more broken down ways to demonstrate positive behavior. We do star charts and much more frequent check-ins where students can self-assess. And then again, at this level, it's really talking about how we're involving families and parents and consistency. But again, that's a very individualized process for each individual kid. So I think that kind of covers the levels we talked about. So that would be it.
Great.
All right.